I just want to talk about protective cases for carded figures here for a moment. I have the Protech SSAF-1, which is a fairly slim case, doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and it actually works fantastically well for the rise of Cobra style figures that are in a card back slash box. These figures were like boxed in on the bottom and sealed like a regular card back around the top. And we also have, and I've already discussed another case that I'm going to bring out here in a second, but for the POC 30th anniversary style cards for some of the G.I. Joe figures, I really like the SSAF-1's thickness. This does not take up a tremendous amount of space. I know that some of the star cases that we use on regular size 6x9 carded figures stick out quite a bit past the bubble, but this does not. This actually fits really close, and it has a good, decently tight lockup for the back of the shell. I mean, it's pretty solid, but it has a flattening type feature for the top of the card that keeps your tab looking good and your die cut pieces here around the edge looking decent. And as you can see, the bottom of the box actually sets inside the bubble, but check out the thickness of the bubble, the depth of the bubble. It's past the packaging, but it doesn't stick out real far and take up a bunch of space. Definitely good for hanging these one in front of the other on a hook, either if you've gone with like peg hooks or with like pegboard or slat wall, like what I use in the other room. But it's a great looking display for these. Nice, a really nice way to protect these figures if you've kept them in the package. But it doesn't press in like some of them. The regular Starcase one would just set the entire packaging inside the bubble, and it was kind of loose in there and it would flop back and forth. This prevents all movement and doesn't risk any damage like squishing or anything of the case or of the box. But I'm really impressed with the depth, and I was hoping that the SSAF-1 would fit the 30th anniversary and POC type of card backs that size. But unfortunately, it's just not a good fit. The card back actually slides inside the bubble back here. If it was just a little bit wider, I'm going to push it all the way over the edge. If it was just, if the card was just a little bit wider, it'd be a good fit, but this just is not a good fit. But again, the thing that I really like about it is the depth of the bubble. But I'll continue using the Starcase 5 for the POC size card backs. I'm getting the backs of these cases mixed up, and my cat's annoyed because she doesn't know where I am. But I hear her yelling in the other room. So she completely ignored me when I walked in, but now she wants to know where I am. She was too busy looking at birds out the window. So, Starcase 5, it does have a bit of a deep bubble here. Starcase 5, POC sized card back, and as you can see, the edges of the case do fully envelop the card back. Got a little bit of space up here at the top, but it is far enough down that it's going to protect this tab, and it'll also act as a flattening feature like some of the Zolo World cases do. Some of the Zolo cases have a what they call a flattening feature, where it's just a flat space that flattens out the top of the card. So go ahead and stick a shell back on this. This figure had a little bit of dust there on, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, there you go. Had a little bit of dust on top of the bubble. It looks like somebody's either hung it up out of a case or whatever. But just to show how well these work, you do have some space. I know some of these may have a little bit thicker bubble, but you do have some space between this and the front of the actual packaging. But these Starcase 5s are a really, really nice fit for the POC and 30th anniversary card back size. And if you'll give me just a moment, I will measure this and show you exactly what the dimensions on this card back are. Actual measured dimensions of the 30th anniversary / POC. And I have some of these over here as well. The Renegades Duke, which I'm going to do a video discussing the Renegades figures, as well as Shadow Tracker, a highly sought after figure. Very reminiscent of the Predator. Yeah, there's a whole thing with like a group of figures that they put out that are very reminiscent of the team from the original Predator movie. But anyway, we won't talk about that right now. We'll save that for another video. The actual measured dimensions on these card backs is 5.5 by 8 1/4. 8 1/4. 8 1/4 tall by 5.5 wide, whereas the original, just your standard card backs from 82 to 94 were 6 inches wide by 9 inches tall. I love the artwork on these. This is actually a Renegades figure. And again, that's a topic for another video, but Renegades was the best animated G.I. Joe series that was ever made, in my opinion. Came out in 2011. So I'm going to go ahead and put him in the Star Case 5 that he fits in, and these backs are not interchangeable. The back of the case is not interchangeable with the SSAF-1 and the Star Case 5. Even though they look very similar, the SSAF-1 is slightly wider in that area, like I showed you. But protective case, yeah, it's a little thicker. Not quite as big as some of the other Star Case offerings like the Star Case 1. But all around good size. These things are pretty solid, and they do a great job protecting everything and flattening out corners and whatnot. Plus you have this flat space up here. So there's Ripcord from the Renegades series. Just out of curiosity, I'll get a measurement on these Rise of Cobra card back / boxes. They are, looks like 5 and just about 5 1/4. 5 3/8. That's what we got 5 3/8 wide by 8 3/16 tall. A very odd size for that, but it does fit in the SSAF-1 from Protech. And the case at the bottom, it's not the most perfect fit in the world, but it's not a bad fit. Snap it in place there, because you got this corner over here that's got nothing. You got this corner over here that's kind of resting against the edge. It's not a bad thing though, but you've got protection for all this up here. Get it'll straighten out the tab on these boxes. I'm glad that I found these. Just kind of roaming around the internet and saw that Protech had a new size case out, and it was shown that it fit one of these. I've been looking for something to fit this for quite a while. I know that there are other figure series as well that use this type of packaging that people collect. So, but that is a good fit. I'm going to need to reorder these Star Case 5s, and I also need to reorder some of those. I have other other protective cases that I'll be getting in to review and discuss with you all, but I'm going to go ahead and package up some of these guys. Shadow Tracker had a little bit of you can see there's a little waviness to the card there. A little bit of veining right there. Not too significant, not really worried much about that. But it'll get these corners and edges flattened out, and the figure will look good in the box. It's going to make sure there's no dust or anything like that on him. And as you can see, this is they did a really good job with the Star Case 5s. The Star Case 5s are a lot more rigid than the Star Case 1. That's something about these that I really do appreciate. It seems like they did a better job in the construction value of these. They're a little bit heavier, seem to be a little bit thicker. They lock in, you get a good positive lockup in the lugs, and I'll show you. I did have a couple that fit kind of loose, but for the most part, they've been great. So check it out. Did you hear I'm sure that you heard the positive snap into place there. But it is they are a pretty nice case. I like them quite a bit. I know a lot of people collecting these modern figures, leaving them in the packages and whatnot. You know, they definitely want something to protect their card bags. So, Renegade's Firefly. The figure looks a little weird compared to what the actual character looked like, but I mean, they did a pretty good job capturing the likeness. We'll do a video on all of the Renegade's figures. Scarlet, absolutely one of my favorites, even though the limbs are quite a bit smaller, the arms and legs, you got a little bend to it in there in the packaging, but I'm not gonna take it out. I actually would like to get one of these to take out of the packaging just to see what the difference is between this one and some of the others. The scaling of the figures. And here's one that seems a little thinner. So it seems a little thinner around these recesses here in the edge. I'm not sure what that is. It seems like maybe just some manufacturing inconsistencies or something in the plastic, but the backing, every one of these that I've handled has been very, very rigid and strong. So, I mean, I guess that's what we're really looking for, is the protective strength. It came out fairly easy just by grabbing the corners, but yeah, the locking lugs do a pretty good job. And I think what it is, some of them have the locking lugs more positively formed than others. It's just, these are, I think these are blow molded or vacuum molded. So, I mean, there's obviously going to be some manufacturing inconsistencies there. I've got one of these cases left. What figure do I want to put in here? I've already got him in one. The Renegade's version of Duke, which these are all more cartoon oriented, of course, but you have the cartoon artwork on the card back and whatnot. Some of these get a little pricey. I've been able to find decent deals on eBay by just looking around for auctions and whatnot. And here's one that the backing does not fit in the shell itself as well as what I would like for it to. And it's because of, again, those manufacturing inconsistencies with the locking lugs. Companies like Zolo World do an excellent job with their QC and making sure that all these locking lugs fit properly and that their cases are rock solid. Protech is probably a lot more mass produced for a lot larger line of figures. It's going to stay. It's not like it's going to go anywhere, and it's going to protect the figure and, you know, keep the card and corners flat and whatnot. But I do think that in recent months, in the last few times that I've bought Protech products, the quality of them has been a little bit inconsistent. I think they could probably do a better job at they could probably do a better job with their quality control. But overall, I mean, it's a good product. The cheapest place that I've been finding these is on eBay, buying in packages of like 25 at a time, and, you know, just having them shipped like that. But they're out there. You can purchase them. This video actually lasted a little longer than what I intended for it to, but be sure to hit that subscribe button wherever it's going to be over here, and check out some other videos. We've got more cool stuff coming to you, more Marvel Legends, more G.I. Joe stuff. Got some vintage G.I. Joe stuff that I'm going to go over as well. All right, guys, thanks, and yo, Joe.